sub accounts. See, this is important because let's say that you have something happening. Like for instance, we have an ETF coming in on Solana at its current 178 low level, which is here 172, and the pullback to the winter could bring us back to the 147 during Christmas until the next year, right? So we're subject to this move here. Now, you have your regular trades that you are trading daily, which is on your main account. And you just need a second account to create a moon bag. What's a moon bag? Moon bags are things that you hold. So for instance, we're going to go over here to the top. We're going to slide down, and you can see there's all these options here to create. And you can see here that on the left side, spot, earning, copy, orders, right? And then as you move across, there's promotions, futures, markets, and all those good things. So what we're going to do here is create what's called a sub account. Okay, so sub accounts, go over your circle, slide down. We had this added because I do a lot of trades that are like scalping, you know, cluster trading, and all these things. So, but we also needed a place that we could store our crypto, buy the ones that we want, like moon bags, and then get leverage on these and hold them for longer periods. So we're going to set up a Solana moon bag today, right? So first we're going to do is go to the top right. So go to your circle, slide all the way down under verification, security, my rewards, sub account. Boom. Okay, you see it says new. You're going to create a sub account. We are going to call this moon, right? The reason we call it moon is simply because, let me see if do I have a moon already? All right, we made a position. Okay, so let's create a sub. Nickname is already in use. Please choose another. Moon. I don't see it. Let me see if am I missing something here? I have position. Right. I don't see moon. So I'm going to go ahead and change, create something and just put long hold. All right, there we go. Long hold. All right, we're going to hit create. Okay. Now they're going to ask for your verification. Get your verification code. And let's just make sure this is you doing what you do on your account. So we're going to set this up real quick. Now what this is going to do is create a second account, as if it's just like your main account. You just didn't have to, you know, use a different email, create another account, etc., etc. So this is the sub account. So let's get in here. And now we have what's called long hold, right? So let's transfer some funds in there. We're doing a Solana. So let's go ahead and transfer over $1,000. And then we're going to go into, right, you'll see right here it says switch to your right. We're going to switch to the Solana. Now you'll see that we are in an account here. And when we go over to our top, see there? Now our circle says long hold, right? It has a different user ID number, right? And that is because it is going to earn rewards and benefits based on its user ID number. So it has another section. Security is low because it's connected to your main account. We didn't do a 2FA and all that stuff. All right, all right, so here we go. So now we're going to go ahead. We already transferred 1,000 over because that's what we're working with. We're going to slide over to our futures. And we're going to set up our Solana and our XRP subs. So here, let's pull up Solana first. Okay. We're always going to do limit. We're going to limit a little bit higher than the current price. I'm going to leverage because this is a longer hold. I'm not going to use 20, all that. I'm going to use 10. Okay. And that's because I want 10 times on what I'm getting. So when Solana goes to 400 and doubles, right? Most people are going to get a 1x. I want a 10x, right? So most people, if you have 1,000 and it doubles, you made 1,000. I want to make 10,000 for every 1,000. Okay. So now I'm going to confirm this, and that's just to give you an idea. Let me show you kind of like where Solana is today. If it happens to fall to where it's 176, right? You see that's a 3% move. The lowest that we expect it to fall if there's a situation of a really, due to the last crash, we could go down to 150, we'll just say 147. Let's just go to where we should mark here. So that's 20% pullback. So on a 10x, right, that's 200% of a pullback, right? So what I have to do here is I have to evaluate that huge pullback, and I need buys in here. But what I'm going to do here before Solana gets away from me here, I'm going to go ahead and place my order. I have a $1,000 in there. I'm going to put 250 in there right now. So I'm going to slide my slider to 25%. I'm going to open a long. All right. So now we have $250 in there, right? And now what I'm going to do is on any pullback, right? Because it's a 10x. So the pullback to get to a negative position, let's say like this last level here. And what I'm doing here is just checking levels. So if it pulls back to its last level, which is right here of 176, which seems to be the normal, that is a 4%, 3.5. So it's about a 35% negative pullback if I place an order here, right? We're going to go ahead and do that because we want to put our buy orders at around 40%, right? And you want to get that first level of support that kind of holds out. So I'm going to take this 176, and that right there is basically 35%. I'm going to slide down to 4% because I want a 40%, right? Because remember, when you have a futures account or anything like that, you're going to have the ability to, you're not going to get liquidated until you're in the 70s, right? So your job is to cost average buy, but with a discount. So I want to get something around here, 47% negative, which would be 174.14. So I'm going to go ahead and type this in at 174.14. And that's where I'm going to match what I currently put in, which was $250. So I'm going to slide the bar over. Now, all you have to do here is my current availability is 1,000. My available margin is 752. So if I'm going to do 250 of that, I need to go to 30% of that, right? If I did half, it would be about 360, right? So if I did 30% of that, right, would be 750 divided by 3. So we're looking at 2, 4, 600. Yeah, so about that mark there. And then I'm just going to place my order. Boom. And now you see the next time that I have a buy on Solana would be at 174. And that's because, and it's going to be a 50% buy up, meaning that when it drops down to here and I end up being about 47% negative, if that happens, right, I will then, by buying the same amount that I originally opened with, I will decrease this by 50%. So this will sling all the way up to where it'll eat up half of my negative. So instead of being negative 47%, I'll be negative 25%, right? So then that way, the next time being negative 25%, I'm just going to mark this off so you understand. So the next time means that every 1% is 10%, right? So this is 25. If I go to 1%, right? Because remember, I'm buying, if I entered with $25, if it goes down to 47% negative, we'll just say 50 for the numbers, right? If it goes to that level and I buy the same amount that I entered, 250 here, 250 here, it's like cost average buying and pulling the two prices together. So 250 here and 250 here are the exact same amount, which means this debt or this stop loss or this negative position of 50% negative would be cut in half to 25%. Then, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to 25%, and then every 1% would be 10. So 25, 35, 45. So the next buy would be here at $170. And that would have to be, at that point, I'm $500 in, right? And this would basically bring me to a 35, 45, another 50. So if I wanted to bring this back to a negative 25, keeping my negative down, right? I would have to put the total amount that I have. So 250 and 250 means I would have to put $500 here in order to cut my negative, right? So you see down here how it's 4%. If I bought 250 right now at this level, this 4% would become 2%. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting my loss in half, giving me, more space. So at this point, going right here, I would have to put $500 at 170, right? So if I look here, that's what I have available is $500. So then I go ahead and stretch that out. Oh, I wanted to put it at what, 170? So I know that I need to put 170 there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a note there. So 170 entry, $500, right? So I'm going to put a note there for myself. 170 entry, $500 back to negative 25%. And that's just a reminder that at this point, I need to put in an entry at 170 so that if it does go that far during the winter, I can keep my negative down. So what I'm going to do is hold off here for a little bit until I get completely set, because I don't need to add that right now because I already have the first level set at 174, and we're not even close to that. But this is how you create sub levels, and this is how you create your moon bags. And all you do here is you keep doing the same thing, is cutting that in half. And then eventually, as this swoops up and starts to head the different way, I would have effectively moved my cost average down from an average of 182 and divided by, so basically it would be this. So this is my entry at 183, 174. My entry would actually become 178. And then from 178 down to 170, it would go like this. It would then become, my entry would become 174. So I'm buying down my entry. So then by the time it swings up, if it happens to be where it's down here, my entry would eventually get down to 170. So now if I'm sitting at 170 and it goes to 400, now I've got 120% return times 10. So I will gain an extra 1,200%. That's how you cost average buy, guys. That's how you build it up. So that's how you make sub accounts, guys. And set yourselves up to what you want to do. It's very simple, and that's how you build.